in terms of the roster that North Carolina has out in front of them, they still do have a lot of good players there. It's a full roster. We've mentioned it before with these preseason rosters coming out by these teams. It's fun to look through this list and see who's thrown into the mix and get used to some new names on this Courage roster.
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of new faces, right, for this North Carolina Courage side. Let's just go down by we've been reading off the preseason rosters, and obviously these rosters will be narrowed down as something like the Challenge Cup comes into play, and then eventually the regular season. But it's fun to go through these preseason rosters now because they're always so lengthy, right? There's always anywhere from like 26 to 36 something odd players on it, and for the Courage, they're just shy of 30. They've got 29 in preseason right now. Goalkeepers with 3: Casey Murphy, Kaylin Rowland, and Marissa Bova to round out the goalkeepers. For defenders, a hefty list there with 12. They've got Lindsay Agnew, Abby Erceg, Kaylee Kurtz, Merritt Mathias, Ryan Williams, Taylor Smith, Carson Pickett, Jaylene Daniels, Caitlin Fregulia, Malia Berkeley, Katie Bowen, and Kiki Pickett. For the midfielders, Denise O'Sullivan, Davinia, Meredith Speck, Havana Salon, Frankie Tagliafieri, Emily Gray, Haley Stackpole, Jordan Listro, Brianna Pinto. And for the forward core, they've got 5 with Brittany Ratcliffe, Riley Raitson, Deanna Ordonez, Caroline Nicoli, and Jorian Balcom. So we've got 29 total here. Let's maybe just have some fun. We did this with Gotham as well. We talked a little bit about a potential starting 11 based on this lengthy list here of a preseason roster. And again, I think we both agreed, even on that last preview, that it's maybe a little too early to sort of nail down an actual starting 11. But when it comes to this moment in time, when this preseason, there's absolutely the list of names that you go through and you could say, hey, I can see this handful of players kind of cracking that starting 11 come opening day, whether that's a Challenge Cup day one or even regular season day one. I think when you're looking at those defenders, Lisa, they're probably going to try to whittle some things down there. Although there's going to be some players here where you're going to wonder how they're going to fit. Like, what's the formation going to be like?
Yeah,
for this North Carolina
still going to do the box in the midfield?
Exactly. It's like, what is this like? Are there a lengthy amount of defenders because you want to have, added depth? Is there a lengthy amount of defenders because you're trying to play around with formations a little bit? This is not something that screams to me like we're going to see a 3-back, right?
No. And it's super interesting because most often teams don't have so much depth at the defender position. 12 defenders listed on this roster and only 5 forwards. So, based on this and looking at numbers, I'm going to say 2 forwards. And maybe they're going to try to throw some of those defenders into the midfield. I could see that happening, playing with 4 in the back. And then, I know that even in 2021, throughout that season with the North Carolina infamous box in the midfield, sometimes they would throw defenders into the back 2 spots of that box just because they can play defense and then also run and get on transition. It's very, very interesting. But with 12 defenders, 9 midfielders, 5 forwards, it's so odd to see so many defenders. But you're right, there are definitely names that stand out. Goalkeeper Casey Murphy, I can imagine that she'll probably get the start in goal there. When you look at the back line, Abby Erceg is a mainstay in the back line. Merritt Mathias also on the wing in the back line. I think Kiki Pickett could really make a name for herself in this back line as well. And then in the midfield, like Dabinia, she's going to have to be in there. She's the creative playmaker in this midfield group of 9 that they have. I think Denise O'Sullivan grew a lot throughout the 2021 season, and she could continue to grow and see a lot of minutes, break through that starting lineup. And then honestly, when I look at the forwards that they have, I don't think I could put my finger on one of them and say this player will start. I'm going to bet money on that. I think it's difficult because Brittany Ratcliffe, Riley Basin, Deanna Ordonez, Caroline Nicoli, and Jorian Balcom.
Yeah.
Brittany Ratcliffe, right? She has a lot of experience, but I don't know if...
Well, we were chatting a little bit about it when we were contemplating this. We were like, gosh, we're looking at the forwards and Brittany Ratcliffe, by experience standards, is probably the most experienced forward on NWSL experienced player, like in terms of the forwards on this preseason roster. But I think when you break it down like that, Lisa, when we're talking about like line by line, right, I'm in agreement with you 100%. I think in terms of opportunity in front of them, right, it's this forward core that probably has the most opportunity in front of them, and that any one of these players can go into this preseason, wreck it up, have themselves a fantastic 6 weeks, right? Maybe show some really promising stuff throughout something like a Challenge Cup and really kind of win a starting spot, right? In what could be this new era of like Sean Nahas, like North Carolina Courage, right? So I think in terms of the area with the most the position with the most opportunity for the Courage is obviously that forward line. And who knows, I could absolutely be proven wrong. I said, like, I don't know if I'm going to see a 3-back in this one. Maybe we are. Maybe that's why there's so many defenders. And when we're looking at some of these defenders who are really great at getting involved in the attack, somebody like a Kiki Pickett, somebody like a Merritt Mathias, there's always that possibility. I guess I should never ever say never, so nope. I guess we'll just sort of stay put on there. But I have to also point out that in signing bringing in all of these defenders and making these different acquisitions, even with that very early move and somebody like a Kiki Pickett involved in that Sam Mewis trade, like, where is this young player going to fit? In what type of role could they have, right, in this Courage side that Nahas doesn't want to use the word rebuild, right, or retool? Maybe a little bit of maybe more retooling versus rebuilding. But what is a player like that and their role going to have versus somebody like a Jalen Daniels that they went out and they acquired, and the club was met with a ton of discourse around this signing. A lot of their LGBTQ plus fans coming out and saying this is harmful to us. We don't approve of this signing. And I don't really think that a franchise is going to go out there and make that type of signing and not play that player. So I won't be surprised if they continue to utilize and rework somebody like a Daniels back into the mix. Now, how this role is going to look moving forward, I'm not too sure, because there's a number in these 12 defenders. There's several outside backs within this defender core alone that could potentially be starting caliber. So we'll see. I'm not by any means saying that those outside back positions are etched in stone by any means, because this is going to be a new look, a new era for
and maybe we could see those outside back traditional roles be pushed higher up, be more wing back players, still 4 in the back, and then 5 across the midfield. I'm not sure, 1 forward, like, I don't know, but I could see the outside backs becoming more wing back players that truly go like box to box.
Yeah, honestly, I think for me, with the exception of like Mathias and Pickett, I feel like those would be locks for your outside back position. Daniels is somebody who's been removed from the game, coming out of retirement. We don't know where she's at in terms of her fitness and her level or ability to compete at this level anymore, quite frankly. It's not easy to dip in and out of being a professional. And I think maybe she's going to be met with a little bit of a quick reminder of how tough this league is. And then you've got somebody like a Taylor Smith who's still involved in that outside back position and listed as a defender, someone who has sort of seen the most time at outside back while with the Courage. So we'll see. I think that positionally, that is the position where they have the most depth in terms of the defensive line. So I'm a little curious to see who is going to be tabbed with these starting roles that will be moving forward.